Captain Lee Minho stood at the large window of his ship, watching the stars move slowly past. His ship was called the Harmony's Edge, and it was flying through space toward an important meeting. Minho had been a ship captain for 10 years, but this was the biggest mission of his life. The humans on Earth had been trying to make friends with the alien government called the Galactic Confederation for a very long time. "Captain, we just got a message," said Lieutenant Park Sora from her seat at the computer. She was young but very smart with technology. "The aliens want to meet us at a space station called Nexus Prime. They say it's about more than just trading goods." Minho nodded and looked at his friend Commander Kim Tae-hyung, who was reading through all the papers about how to talk to aliens politely. "What do you think, Tae-hyung? This sounds bigger than we expected." "The message came from the inner circle," Tae-hyung said quietly. "Those are the most important alien leaders in the galaxy. They don't usually talk to humans directly." Far away in the empty space between galaxies, a huge black ship drifted silently through the darkness. This ship was called the Eternal Wrath, and it belonged to a warrior race called the Apex. The ship was as big as a small city, and covered in weapons that could destroy entire planets. War Prime An Ji-hye walked back and forth on the command deck of her ship. She was tall and strong, with scars on her face from many battles. The Apex had been hiding in space for many years after their home planet was destroyed. They trusted no one and fought anyone who got too close to them. "War Second Choi Woo-bin," Ji-hye called to her second in command. He was sitting at a weapon control station, always ready for a fight. "What do you think about this message from the Confederation?" Woo-bin looked up from his screens. "They say they want to make peace with us. They want to give us a new home planet and make us part of their government. But I don't trust them, War Prime. We've been alone for too long." Ji-hye stopped walking and stared out at the stars. "The Apex have been warriors for 1,000 years. We've never backed down from a fight and we've never forgotten an enemy. But maybe it's time to try something different." The same message had been sent to both the humans and the Apex at exactly the same time. Neither group knew that the other had also been invited to this meeting. The message was very polite and talked about friendship and working together. It promised both races a chance to join the most powerful government in the galaxy. On the human ship, Lieutenant Sora was reading the message again. "Captain, this seems too good to be true. Why would they suddenly want to be friends with us? We're just one small planet." Minho thought about this. Humans had been exploring space for only a few hundred years. They had met some alien races, but most of them thought humans were too young and weak to be important. Maybe they've been watching us and they like what they see. We've been working hard to show them we're peaceful. Meanwhile, on the Apex ship, War Second Woo-bin was looking at star maps. "The meeting place is in neutral space, far from any planet or military base. If this is a trap, we'll be alone out there. Then we bring enough weapons to level a moon," Ji-hye said with a fierce smile. "If they want to fight, we'll give them a war they'll never forget. If they really want peace, then we'll listen." Both ships began their journey toward Nexus Prime, but neither crew knew they were flying into the same trap. The Galactic Confederation had been watching both humans and the Apex for a long time. They had seen how quickly humans learned new things and how they never gave up when things got difficult. They had also seen how the Apex never forgot their enemies and always got revenge. The alien leaders in the Confederation were scared of both races, but they were too proud to admit it. Instead, they made a plan to get rid of both problems at the same time. They would invite both groups to a meeting and then destroy them before they could become a real threat. As the human ship got closer to the meeting place, Minho felt worried, but also excited. "This could change everything for our people," he told his crew. "If we can join the Confederation, humans will have friends all across the galaxy." At the same time, Ji-hye was telling her warriors to prepare for anything. "We go in with honor, but we come out alive. If they try to trick us, we'll show them why the Apex are feared across the stars." Neither captain knew that in just a few days they would be fighting side by side against the same enemy. The Confederation thought they were setting a trap for two dangerous races, but they were actually about to create the most powerful alliance the galaxy had ever seen. The two ships flew through space toward their destiny, carrying crews that would either find peace or die trying. The space station called Nexus Prime was huge beyond anything Captain Minho had ever seen. It floated in empty space like a metal mountain, with lights covering its surface like stars. The station was so big that his entire ship looked like a tiny bug next to it. As they got closer, Minho could see other ships docked at the station, including one massive black ship that made him feel uneasy. "Captain, that big black ship belongs to the Apex," Lieutenant Park Sora said, looking at her computer screen. "I've heard stories about them. They're supposed to be the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy." Commander Kim Tae-hyung checked his weapon and looked nervous. "What are they doing here? This was supposed to be a meeting between humans and the Confederation." Minho felt confused but tried to stay calm. "Maybe the aliens invited them too. We'll have to be extra careful and polite." On the other side of the docking bay, War Prime An Ji-hye was looking at the human ship through her ship's cameras. She had never seen humans before, but she had heard they were small and weak. War Second Choi Woo-bin stood next to her, his hand resting on his plasma sword. "Why are there humans here?" Woo-bin asked. "This meeting was supposed to be just for us." Ji-hee's eyes narrowed. "I don't know, but I don't like surprises. Keep your weapons ready, but don't start a fight unless I give the order." Both groups walked into the station at the same time, meeting in a huge round room in the center. The room was so big that their voices echoed when they spoke. Waiting for them were two alien leaders that looked very different from each other. The first alien was tall and thin with blue skin and forearms. He wore fancy clothes covered in gold decorations. "Welcome," he said in perfect human language. "I am Chancellor Varix of the Vorthan Empire. We have been waiting for this meeting for a long time." The second alien looked like it was made of light and energy, constantly changing shape. Its voice sounded like wind blowing through trees. "I am Overseer Keth of the Ethereal Collective. Today will be remembered as a great day for the galaxy." Captain Minho looked at War Prime Ji-hee, and she looked back at him. Both of them felt something was wrong, but they couldn't figure out what it was. "We are honored to be here," Minho said politely. "The human race is ready to join the galactic community." Ji-hye nodded slowly. "The Apex have been alone for too long. If you offer us honor and respect, we will listen." Chancellor Varric smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Excellent. We have prepared special documents for both of your races. These papers will make you full members of the Inner Circle, the most powerful group in the galaxy." Lieutenant Sora whispered to her captain, "Sir, my instruments are picking up strange energy readings. There are way more weapons on this station than there should be." At the same time, War Second Woo-bin felt his warrior instincts telling him to be ready for a fight. He had been in many battles, and something about this place reminded him of an ambush. "Please, both of you, come forward and sign these treaties," Overseer Keth said, floating toward a table in the center of the room. "Your races will have everything they need: new planets, advanced technology, and protection from your enemies." Minho and Ji-hye walked toward the table together, still watching each other carefully. The documents looked official and important, covered in alien writing that was translated into their languages. Just as both leaders reached for the papers, everything changed in an instant. Metal walls slammed down from the ceiling, blocking every door and window. Red lights started flashing and loud alarms began ringing throughout the station. From hidden openings in the walls, dozens of weapon turrets emerged and pointed at the humans and Apex. "Surprise!" Chancellor Varix laughed, and his friendly voice became cold and mean. "Did you really think we would let two dangerous races join our government?" Overseer Keth's form grew brighter and more threatening. "Humans multiply too fast and learn too quickly. The Apex remember every insult and never forgive their enemies. Both of your races are threats to the order we have built." Captain Minho felt his heart racing as he realized they had been tricked. "You invited us here to kill us." War Prime Jia's eyes filled with rage and she pulled out her weapon. "I should have known. The Confederation has always been cowards who fight with lies instead of honor." "Your ships are surrounded by our fleet," Varix continued. "Your crews will be destroyed, and your homeworlds will be marked for elimination. The galaxy will be much safer without you." The weapon turrets began charging up, making a high-pitched whining sound. Security doors opened, and dozens of armed, alien soldiers ran into the room. Minho and Ji-hee found themselves standing back to back, surrounded by enemies. The human captain had never been in a real fight before, but War Prime Ji-hee had survived 1,000 battles. "Human," Ji-hee said quietly, "if we're going to die here, let's make sure they remember us." Minho gripped his sidearm and nodded. "My name is Lee Minho, and I won't go down without a fight." The first laser blast missed them by inches, and the battle for their lives began. The first laser blast hit the wall right next to Captain Minho's head, leaving a smoking hole in the metal. He dove behind a table as more shots filled the air around him. War Prime Ji-hee moved like lightning, her plasma sword cutting through the first 3 enemy soldiers before they could even aim their weapons. "Stay low, human," Ji-hee shouted as she spun around, blocking laser shots with her glowing blade. "These cowards fight from a distance because they're afraid to get close." Lieutenant Park Sora was hiding behind a computer terminal, trying to connect her small device to the station's systems. "Captain, I'm trying to hack into their computers. Maybe I can turn off some of these weapons." War Second Choi Woo-bin appeared next to her like a shadow, his own sword cutting down 2 security robots. "Little human, can you really break their machines?" "I'm trying," Sora said, her fingers moving fast on her device. "Our computers learn and adapt quickly. That's what makes humans special." Commander Kim Tae-hyung was shooting carefully with his rifle, making every shot count. He had never fought aliens before, but he was a good soldier. "Captain, we need to get out of this room. There are too many of them." Ji-hee grabbed an enemy soldier and threw him into a group of his friends. "The human is right. We need to move, or they'll surround us completely." Minho looked around the room, thinking fast. "Sora, can you find us a way out of here?" "I'm in their system," Sora called out excitedly. "There's a maintenance tunnel behind that wall. It leads to the communication center." War Prime Ji-hee smiled for the first time since the fighting started. "You humans are clever, I like that." She threw a small bomb that blew a hole in the wall Sora had pointed to. The group fought their way across the room, with Ji-hee and Woo-bin cutting through enemies while the humans provided covering fire. When they reached the hole in the wall, Minho helped Sora climb through first, then followed with his crew. As they crawled through the narrow tunnel, Ji-hee spoke to Minho. "Human Captain, I was wrong about your people. You fight with honor even when you're scared." "We're definitely scared," Minho admitted, "but we won't give up. That's another thing that makes humans special." The tunnel led them to a small room, filled with computer screens and blinking lights. Sora immediately sat down at the biggest computer and started typing. "This is their main communication system. I can send messages to anywhere in the galaxy from here." "Do it quickly," Woo-bin said, watching the door. "They'll find us soon." While Sora worked, the others found something that made them very angry. The computer files showed records of many other alien races that had been destroyed by the Confederation over hundreds of years. Any time a species became too strong or too smart, the Confederation would create wars, diseases, or accidents to eliminate them. "Look at this," Tae-hyung said, pointing at the screen. "The Zephyrians were wiped out by a mysterious plague 50 years ago. The Karathi had a civil war that destroyed their entire civilization." Ji-hee's face became dark with rage. "They didn't just betray us today. They've been murdering entire races for centuries." "We have to tell everyone," Minho said. "The whole galaxy needs to know what the Confederation really is." Sora finished setting up the communication system. "I'm ready to broadcast. What should we say?" Minho and Ji-hee looked at each other and nodded. They both spoke into the microphone at the same time. "This is Captain Lee Minho of the human race, and War Prime An Ji-hee of the Apex Warriors. The Yao Galactic Confederation has betrayed us and tried to murder us during a peace meeting. They have been secretly destroying any race that threatens their power for hundreds of years. We have proof of their crimes," Ji-hee continued. "And we are no longer alone. Humans and Apex now fight together as allies." The message was sent to every ship, planet, and space station in the galaxy. Almost immediately, they heard their own ships responding over the radio. "Captain, this is the Harmony's Edge," came a voice from Minho's ship. "We're under attack by Confederation ships, but we're fighting back." "War Prime, The Eternal Wrath is engaging the enemy, reported another voice. They surrounded us, but they didn't expect us to fight this hard. Through the space station's windows, they could see a massive battle happening outside. Human ships were moving in ways the aliens had never seen before, while Apex ships were using weapons that tore holes in space itself. We need to get back to our ships, Minho said. Not yet, Jihye replied. First, we finish what we started here. The door to the communication room exploded inward, and Chancellor Varric stepped through with a squad of his best soldiers. You think you can escape? This station is a fortress. We're not trying to escape, Minho said, raising his weapon. We're here to make sure everyone knows what you really are. Jihye stepped forward, her sword glowing brighter than ever. And to teach you that some prey fights back. The battle that followed shook the entire station, but now the humans and Apex were truly fighting as one team, and that made them stronger than their enemies had ever imagined. The news of the alliance between humans and the Apex spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every planet and space station, beings watched the recordings of Captain Minho and Warprime Jihye fighting together against the Confederation's trap. Some were amazed, others were terrified, but no one could ignore what they had seen. In the human shipyards around, Earth engineer Han Minseok worked day and night with Apex technicians who had never spoken to aliens before. The Apex warriors were huge and covered in scars, but they treated Minseok with respect because he could build things they had never imagined. Your computers learn and change, said an Apex engineer named Keth Vor, watching Minseok work on a new weapon system. Our weapons can tear holes in space itself. Together we can make ships that no one can stop. Minseok smiled as he connected human computer chips to Apex quantum generators. My grandfather always said the best tools come from mixing different ideas together. The first ships built with both technologies were incredible. They could disappear and reappear somewhere else in an instant, while shooting weapons that could destroy entire enemy fleets. The Confederation had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but they had never seen anything like this. War Commander Park Junho led the first Joint Attack Force, commanding both human Marines and Apex warriors. The cultural differences were huge. Humans liked to talk and plan everything, while the Apex preferred to charge straight into battle. But somehow it worked. Remember, Junho told his mixed crew before their first mission, we're not just fighting for our own people anymore. We're fighting for every race the Confederation has lied to and betrayed. The Confederation's response was swift and brutal. They controlled most of the galaxy's communication networks, and they used them to spread lies about the new alliance. On every planet, propaganda broadcasts showed scary images of human ships and Apex warriors. The humans multiply like insects and steal technology from better races, the broadcasts said. The Apex are bloodthirsty savages who want to destroy all civilized life. Together, they plan to conquer the galaxy and enslave everyone. Many alien races believed these lies because they had trusted the Confederation for so long. Some even sent their own fleets to help fight against the human Apex alliance. The galaxy was splitting into two sides and war was spreading everywhere. The big test came at a place called the Crimson Nebula, where space itself was colored red by ancient, stellar explosions. The Confederation had gathered their most powerful fleet there, over 3,000 ships, including their massive command vessels that were each as big as a small moon. Admiral Kim Seojun commanded the human fleet from his flagship, while Warprime, Jihye led the Apex dreadnoughts from the Eternal Wrath. They had only 800 ships between them, but each one was equipped with the new hybrid technology. All human ships, this is Admiral Seojun, he broadcast to his fleet. Today we show the galaxy that freedom is stronger than tyranny. Execute Formation Phoenix. The human ships suddenly began moving in ways that seemed impossible. They flickered in and out of normal space, appearing behind enemy ships and disappearing before return fire could hit them. The Confederation commanders had never seen anything like it. At the same time, Jihye's voice roared across the Apex fleet. Channels. Warriors of the Apex. Today we avenge not just our own people but every race these cowards have murdered. Show them the fury of the betrayed. The Apex dreadnoughts opened fire with weapons that had been legends for centuries. Beams of pure energy tore through space, and some Confederation ships simply vanished as reality twisted around them. The red nebula became even redder as explosions lit up the cosmic dust. The battle lasted for 6 hours, and when it was over, the Confederation's invincible armada was floating debris. News of the victory spread faster than the propaganda broadcasts could counter it. On planets across the galaxy, beings who had lived in fear of the Confederation for their entire lives began to speak up. The Mcthari, who had been forced to mine dangerous crystals for centuries, declared their independence. The Velkan collective, whose children had been taken as tribute for generations, rose up against their Confederation overseers. Captain Minho was right, said Elder Zixka of the Thornari Council during a public broadcast. We have been slaves pretending to be citizens, no more. But the Confederation's inner circle was not ready to give up their power. In secret meetings, on their capital world, the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy made a terrible decision. If we cannot rule the galaxy, declared Supreme Chancellor Vorth Ek, then we will destroy it rather than let these upstarts take it from us. Ancient weapons that had been hidden for millennia began powering up across Confederation space. Devices that could make stars explode, machines that could tear apart the fabric of space itself, weapons so terrible that they had been banned by treaties signed before humans had even learned to make fire. The final battle was coming, and it would decide the fate of every living thing in the galaxy. The alliance between humans and the Apex had started as a desperate fight for survival, but now it had become something much bigger, a war for the freedom of all intelligent life. The stakes could not be higher, and failure was not an option. Confederation Prime had never been attacked in its entire history. The capital world was protected by 7 massive rings of defense stations, each one powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. Around the planet, the most advanced warships in the galaxy waited in perfect formation. For 10,000 years, this place had been the symbol of absolute power in the galaxy. But today, Admiral Kim Seojin's combined fleet was coming, and nothing would ever be the same. All ships, this is Admiral Seojin. His voice carried across hundreds of vessels filled with humans, apex warriors, and rebels from dozens of other races. We're not here to conquer. We're here to bring justice to those who have murdered billions. War Prime. Anjihi stood on the bridge of the Eternal Wrath, watching the enemy defenses through her ship's cameras. Beside her, Strategic Prime Li Neon studied the battle plans they had worked on for weeks. The attack had to be perfect, because they would only get one chance. The outer defense ring is moving to intercept us, Neon reported. Just like we predicted. Jahi smiled grimly. Then let's give them something to think about. The battle began with a light show that could be seen from space. Human ships flickered in and out of reality, appearing inside the defense rings where they weren't supposed to be able to go. Apex dreadnoughts fired weapons that made space itself crack like broken glass. The Confederation's perfect defenses started falling apart within minutes. On the planet's surface, the inner circle was meeting in their secret chamber deep underground. The 12 most powerful beings in the galaxy watched their forces being destroyed on giant screens, and for the first time in their lives, they felt real fear. "Activate the Omega Protocol," ordered Supreme Chancellor Vorth Ek, his voice shaking with rage. "If we cannot rule the galaxy, then no one will." Ancient machines that had been sleeping for thousands of years began to wake up. Weapons built by races so old their names were forgotten started charging with enough power to destroy entire star systems. The inner circle would rather see the galaxy burn than lose their control over it. High above the planet, Captain Lee Minho was leading a special assault team through the chaos of battle. His ship, along with Lieutenant Colonel Park Hyojin's Marines and a group of Apex warriors, had one job: get to the planet's surface and stop the super weapons before they could fire. "Colonel Hyojin, are your teams ready?" Minho asked as their ships broke through the planet's atmosphere. "Ready, Captain," Hyojin replied. She was one of the best soldiers in the human military, and today she was fighting alongside Apex warriors who respected her courage. "We've got 15 minutes to reach the inner circle's bunker before those weapons are fully charged." The assault team fought their way through the capital city as explosions lit up the sky above them. Confederation soldiers tried to stop them, But the combination of human tactics and apex strength was unstoppable. Buildings that had stood for millennia crumbled around them as the battle raged. In space, the final defense ring was falling. Admiral Ni, Sojun's flagship and War Prime Jihi's dreadnought fought side by side, their crews working together as if they had trained together for years instead of months. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the planet's core," reported Lieutenant Park Sora from her sensor station. "Those weapons are almost ready to fire." "Then we better hurry," Seojin said, watching the tactical displays. "All ships, final assault. Break through their last defenses and give our ground teams the time they need." Deep underground, Captain Minho and Colonel Hyojin's team burst into the Inner Circle's chamber just as the countdown reached its final minute. The 12 alien leaders stood around a control panel covered in glowing buttons and screens, their faces twisted with hatred. "You're too late," Supreme Chancellor Vorthek screamed. "In 30 seconds our weapons will destroy 100 star systems. Billions will die, and it will be your fault for challenging us." "The only thing dying today is your reign of terror," Colonel Hyojin said, raising her weapon. Around her, human marines and apex warriors took aim at the alien leaders who had caused so much suffering. The final 10 seconds felt like forever. The superweapons were charging, ready to tear holes in space that would swallow entire worlds. The Inner Circle's fingers hovered over the firing controls, their eyes filled with madness. Then Lieutenant Park Sora's voice came over the radio. "I'm in their system, shutting down all weapons in 3, 2, 1. The ancient machines went silent. The terrible weapons that could have destroyed half the galaxy powered down safely. The Inner Circle's last desperate gambit had failed. War Prime Jihi and Admiral Seojin entered the chamber together, followed by representatives from dozens of races that had suffered under Confederation rule. The 12 beings who had controlled the galaxy for so long now knelt in chains awaiting judgment for their crimes. "For 10,000 years you have ruled through fear and lies," Jihi declared. "Today, that ends." In the days that followed, a new galactic government was formed. Captain Minho, now called Galactic Mediator, worked with leaders from hundreds of worlds to create laws based on equality instead of oppression. The alliance between humans and the Apex became the foundation for a new age of cooperation. The galaxy was free at last, and it would never again bow to tyrants who ruled from the shadows.